Well, I'll show you your opinion. Maybe it helps. Maybe. Maybe. But, you know, the other ones are simple ideas. Or maybe I explained it completely wrong. Possibly, Wesley. Can you get her to join us, or is she too busy actually doing constructive work and not just playing video games like we are? But if she's not too busy to play video games with us... Alright, that's also sensible. Sleeping is also sensible, Wesley. Have you considered that? I mean, so yeah, so to reiterate, like the other architects have figured out a way to make a relatively simple idea look interesting. Again, not to disparage their work or anything, but it's just the truth. Is that it's not actually that complicated, the other architects. And so if Helena is having difficulty with complexity, then she's doing something wrong. And it's not really the correct approach. The thing with architecture is that, like, even if you start off with a really simple idea, by the time you're done designing all the details and everything, it's gonna be complicated. I don't know if you've noticed this with our architecture. If you just think of the Ambition Station, for example, it's just an Art Deco tower with some arches in the middle. And it turned into that thing. Like, if you just take a few simple ideas and build a whole building out of it, it's gonna be complicated regardless. You don't have to go out of your way to make complicated things. And in fact, you want to like do the opposite. You want to try and not make complicated things if possible. Alright, so at the moment I'm thinking we have like buttresses. Although I'm wondering if the buttresses are too close together. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, it doesn't fit otherwise. Maybe the buttresses are too close together. Oh, I don't know if we should make it thicker. We might like knock it back and then... So instead of just adding it to the top of it, I was thinking of like knocking back the corner and then turning that into staircase. Because it's getting super thick. I don't know if you've noticed how thick it is, but it is quite thick. If you have any ideas about making the shape look good but also not quite this thick, that'd be great. Yeah, no, yeah, keep trying, but maybe because Gothic architecture is supposedly remarkable for how thin the stone is. So maybe like we want to make it as thin as possible without it falling apart. Is usually how the Gothic architects worked. So, like, if we take the corner off at both ends. Let me get my stairs. If we like shave the top and then also shave the bottom. Did you shave the bottom? Okay, you did shave the bottom. So if we shave the top and the bottom corners, is that too thin or is that good? Yeah, alright, no, yeah, that's good. Although it's kind of dark though, let me just stick this here so we can see what's going on. Yeah, let's stick it in the back. Okay, so right, let me just keep piling on the mass here. It's gonna be a massive pile of nether bricks. If you want to like experiment making it even thinner, I'd be okay with that. Let's see, that there, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 2 and 3, like that, and that. A couple of those there. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. Those and those. Down to there. Oops. And down here. Like that. Gothic. Oh, it's not really a castle, is it? It's half cathedral now. Hey, do we want like castle towers as well? I don't know if you want to. Oops. Or do you want to just like have it this shape? Like, would it be too complicated if we also added another tower to the side somewhere? That and that. But this is, I do like the shape. Maybe it can be a little more castle-y on this side. Maybe we can have like a tower in the corner here or something, and then a tower in the other corner here. I mean, it is a nice shape. One, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. Down to there. Oops. Yeah, we are. in my mind, we're gonna have pretty big windows in between the buttresses. Because Gothic architecture basically is like you have the buttresses holding up the structure, and then that leaves space for windows in between the buttresses. And we might even have windows. Not sure if that's the right way to say it. What do you mean? Oh, I'm gonna do lit windows. Oh, you mean stained glass windows? Oh, yeah, no, sure, yeah, let's do stained glass. So we should probably avoid religious overtones. I mean, red and black is... I'm just saying, there's a lot of things we need to avoid, a lot of political... I mean, I don't know if you... If like the red and black and white color scheme brings to mind the same thing in your mind as it does in my mind. It's a whole lot of religious and political landmines that we have to avoid. I mean, we need to find a color scheme that hasn't been taken by someone with a bad history. Ruining colors. Maybe pink, yeah, maybe pink. There's been a lot of wars and warlords in human history, and they've taken all the color schemes, can you believe it? I mean, there's the traditional Halloween colors. As long as we avoid obvious shapes, I think we can get away with colors though. Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. Do we want Halloween colors? Or do we want like Oh, also, I was thinking actually, maybe for research we should like watch Twilight. Have you ever watched Twilight? Maybe we should like watch Twilight to get inspiration for spooky architecture. Well, I can tell you it is an experience. What's... So yeah, we get like pumpkin colors, Halloween pumpkin colors. Orange? Interesting. Alright, I'm gonna do the experiment. Let me continue building this stuff. That also fills in there, and that, and that there. Buttresses, windows. So in the roof, there might be windows as well. Actually, let me just do one thing at a time. Alright, one thing at a time. Big buttresses. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Actually, now that I think about it, just a little more comments about Helena's problems. Transition full screen. So with this one, it's complicated in one dimension. And by that I mean, like from this angle, it's just rectangles. So from one angle it's just rectangles. So one elevation is just rectangles. And in fact the other, this is also just rectangles. And so it's really only complicated in plan. I guess like the curves only exist in one of the dimensions, if that makes sense. As for Habitat 67, I guess it's complicated in elevation. I don't think it's complicated in plan. Although you'll notice that we don't actually get a top-down view of this thing. There are views of this that are not nearly as complicated. So if you look at it in plan, I think it's significantly less complicated. And maybe from the short side, it's also not that complicated. Of course, everyone taking photos of this thing is taking it from the most complicated angle because it looks cool that way. But you know, like from certain angles, it's actually not that complicated. You can imagine that, you know, from one particular side, it's just boxes. And then by pulling and pushing the boxes back and forth, then from the other angle, it looks really complicated. Anyway, back to Minecraft. Transition, Minecraft trains map. So if Helena's trying to manage complexity, maybe you limit the complexity to like one dimension. So you have like, you know, a plan and two elevations. Maybe like limit the complexity to one of those drawings. With this, I did feel the same way about it being too complicated. I mean, yeah, I mean complicated, yes, but the question is like, how do you reduce the complexity, or how do you manage the complexity? Is the challenge for the architect, right? And as I said, with the other designs that we are looking at, it's really complicated in one dimension only. And even if like the building that I'm building right now, that we are working on right now, Wesley, like it's only complicated in one elevation. I don't know if you've noticed, but if you look at it from the top, it's just a rectangle. From the top, it's basically just rectangles. From this side, it's basically just a rectangle. It's only from the front and the back that it's a Gothic cathedral, right? So even right now, what we're doing is we're limiting the complexity to one dimension, to one of the three dimensions.